Thursday morning, and it's time for Tech for Seniors Live, where technology gets its deserved deep dive. This isn't happening via Zoom, so we can't see who's joining the show. So please sign in to the chat box below as we gather around the screen, both far and wide, with curiosity as our ever-trusty guide. We'll navigate the digital seas, a knowledgeable crew, exploring all the tech tips, both old and new. No need for cameras, no need for dress. Just bring your questions and we'll address. From gadgets to apps and all the tech lore, we're here to help, to teach, and much more. So type away in the chat. Don't be shy. Our tech-savvy hosts are here to reply. It's Thursday morning. Let the tech talk flow at the Tech for Seniors Live, the best tech show.
Well, good morning, good afternoon. This is Tech for Senior Live. It is June the 13th. I'm Ron Brown. I'll be your host today with a great panel of experts. Yes, we have assembled an international group for you, or the same old guys at Tech for Senior, whatever you want, that like to talk and blah, 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 blah all the time. Anyway, we are all here, all excited, because of all the Apple news. Yes, the whole week is all Apple news. Now, the problem is none of us use Apple products, so we're going to discuss this today, but we might need your help. And that brings me to another issue is we'd sure like you to put in the chat where you're from, maybe what, if you have any questions, if you use any Apple products, if you know, it'd be really cool if you could put in the chat just one of the greatest things that you thought of all the Apple announcements today. If you're an Apple user, if you could put in the chat what you really thought was the greatest feature this week that was announced. A whole slew of stuff, including Apple Intelligence. So we'll be discussing all that today on the show. But you're probably wondering, is this the only show we have? Well, no, we actually have a Monday show. And this is, we've been doing this for our Monday show, gosh, for 5 years. And I think we're up to episode 218. But it's a Zoom show and it's on Monday. So please come and visit us if you haven't already seen our show. I'll just put up our website here, which of course has our, this is our website and all the information, because it's actually a Zoom meeting. Although we do broadcast it out to YouTube, so you can see it on our YouTube channel. But it is this is our Monday meeting, and it's fun because we can see you and we talk with you, and we've got a great group of people that we've got to meet. We have newcomers coming, and we usually have a lively discussion before the show. And then we have our hour-and-a-half show on Mondays. But it is a Zoom meeting, and today all those people that logged in over on our Zoom account will see you on Monday, because this is not a Zoom meeting. This, of course, we broadcast out from StreamYard to we broadcast it out to YouTube and Facebook, which reminds me, if you are watching this on Facebook, if you could put a note in saying that you're seeing it and everything's going fine. Apparently Facebook changed a whole bunch of settings and who's allowed to broadcast and so on and so forth. So, but I think it says on the notes here that we are broadcasting to Facebook. But if you are on Facebook and you're watching us, please let us know that the feed is still working. So thanks for that. And we will, I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce everybody. And I guess the first person I'll introduce is my co-host on Monday show, someone who I've known for 5 years, a man of great talent, but he lives so far away. He lives in another country on the other side of the world in Florida. I live in British Columbia on a little island off the west coast. Huey lives on the east coast in Florida, in Bradenton, Florida, right, Huey? And now I can't hear Huey.
Yeah, that's because I was muted. I'm on the east coast of the U.S. and the west coast of Florida. So yeah. I'm on both the east and west coast. And you mentioned to have people tell us if what sounded interesting if they are Apple users. If they're not, is there anything that was announced that might make you an Apple user?
Good question.
Well, there actually is something, and we're going to talk about that today because there is actually a big announcement that will maybe make some changes. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But you have an iPad.
I've got an iPad. I use it all the time, and I'm going to talk about that when we get our discussion.
Oh, okay. All right, great. And then, of course, we have the man who is our security expert, who looks after all our security needs on our Monday show. But he's just not a security guy. He is a man who is a technological wizard who creates so many videos on all sorts of technology and is a great wealth of knowledge for us. And we're so happy that he's here today. And that, of course, would be Bob Gustisha from Los Lunas, New Mexico.
Good morning. 83 already. It's going to get hot today. We have a heat advisory, which means it'll be at 100 or more. So it's summertime.
Yeah, now I can't say and now I can't brag about the temperatures here.
Well, before we get to Ray, I want to let everyone know I've got some really great news for you, everyone, today in the United States. In Canada, it's so cold and rainy this summer that we are way, way below the number of fires ever recorded, not only for this particular time, but if you add all the fires up for this year, we're way below the 100-year average by about 30%. So we're not going to blow any smoke down that way. So you're going to have lots of clear air because so far so good. But we've really had very cold weather. It's been nothing. There's been nothing really. The things are just not growing. I wanted to mention that before we talk to Ray, who's of course lives in Pine, Arizona, and the hot spot of the world or whatever is just below him there in Phoenix. So are things cooling off down there? What's happening in Phoenix?
I try not to watch what's happening in Phoenix. It was 110, I think, yesterday.
Okay.
So up here, it's usually about 15 to 20 degrees cooler. Well, yesterday I went to the town of Payson, which isn't too far from Pine, 18 miles. And as I was leaving Payson, the temperature gauge inside my car said 100. So,
okay.
So it was warm up here yesterday as well. But I was still driving with the windows open.
Do you have air conditioning in your house, Ray?
No.
You don't need. Okay.
No. And the way we do it at night, it gets down into the low 60s. Keep all the windows open, and then in the day, as soon as close everything up, and it stays about on that. I'm not kidding. About 15 degrees cooler in the house than it does outside without air conditioning.
Very nice. Huey, anybody listening to us?
Yes, we got a nice crowd out there.
Oh, good. Ed Weiss from mostly sunny in Central and
And just to let you know, it's working fine on Facebook.
He corrected that to NJ.
NJ. Oh, New Jersey. I was NN. What's the NN? I've never heard of that before. Mike Saunders, good evening from Chesham, UK, 14 degrees and cloudy. Thanks for watching, Mike. Bernard, Sterling Heights Computer Club, Detroit, Michigan. Murray Strom, good morning from sunny Victoria, where it looks as if it's going to be a beautiful day. Right. It is, Murray. And I think the forecast getting better for the weekend. I think it's actually going to be a nice weekend. All that rain they predict it's going to go away. Ed Weiss, mostly sunny in central New Jersey. Steve Powell, Kirkland, Washington, 56 degrees and sunny. Sally Ann, Kirkland, Washington, comfortable weather this week. I teach iOS, but not Mac OS. Okay. Well, Sally Ann, did you have any? You must have been watching all the Apple events this week. Then what's your favorite? You tell us what you think is your number one thing you're so excited about. There are lots of good, exciting things. Deb says, I use Apple nothing. Android girl, beautiful sunny day in Clearwater, Florida. Mike Saunders, glad the added RC. That's it. That's Mike. You can't say that. That was the secret I was going to bring up. The big announcement is, of course, RCS compatibility. That's the big one, which will allow text messaging. Clark Walker, you are all looking and sounding good. Well, Clark, you didn't see me about 10 minutes before the start when nothing worked. You have no idea what a commotion it was before we started. We looked real calm. I had to take a few pills before we started to calm me down, but nothing worked. So I'm glad everything is working okay. 80 degrees Fahrenheit going to 89 degrees in Trenton, New Jersey. Mike Saunders, glad they added RCS compatibility. Yes, we're going to be talking about that today. Marie Strom, I did a complex video rendering project on my old Linux desktop, i7 11th generation, and my new iMac M3. To my surprise, my iMac was less than 50% faster than the Linux. Oh, well, interesting, Murray. M3 should be pretty fast. Bob says, Bellevue, Washington, 56 degrees, sun and clouds, 69 degrees. Yep, it's going to get warm today. Murray Strom, I sure have not needed to turn on my air conditioner yet this year. It's been so cool. That's right. Exactly. So there we have it. Good group. So I guess we should maybe get on with life and talk a little bit about news articles, tech news articles, which of course everybody's excited. But before we get started, I was talking to Huey and Bob and Ray about this earlier. I attended a conference this week on a software called Camtasia, which is my video editing software I used. And it was a phenomenal conference. It was about 3 hours long and it was riveting. And it's all about, and the CEO of the Camtasia, TechSmith, gave the keynote address at the very beginning. And she got up and she stood and talked and gave the keynote address. And it was, but it wasn't her. Of course, it was her avatar that that she gave it, and she spoke. And I was looking, thinking, I thought something was up. I said, is it really a person? And it was really good though. And so I thought that's pretty darn cool. Anyway, this is already on their Mac version of their software and will be released in October this fall. And so when we're talking about AI and we're talking about NPUs and the AI generated computers and all the technology, it's not coming next year or the year after or whatever. It's here now, and we're watching, and there's going to be some crazy stuff. So Huey, you and I don't have to be on the show anymore. We'll just create our avatars, and there we go. We can just do all this remotely, and we'll do it before the show.
Go back to my old computer and be out of sync, and it won't matter.
Right. All right. So anyways, it's really cool. This is an amazing time to be in this type of work because it's so exciting. Things are changing weekly, but there's some really cool
weekly,
daily,
that's not,
daily, hourly,
yes, and not weekly at all. Very strongly.
It's crazy.
So Ron, did Camtasia take that hint from Zoom, or did Zoom take the hint from Camtasia? Because I mentioned this in my news report on Monday, that this was something that Zoom was planning.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I suspect there's a lot of.
I'm sure they talk to each other anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, Camtasia is a big company. They have, I think, over 10 million users, and they have development teams all over the world.
Yep.
So I'm sure they're working. I'm sure they're not the only people, but in order to grow and stay current, they've got to be off the mark on this, and otherwise you're going to get left way behind quickly and be a nothing. So they got to be at the cutting edge of stuff, because they do charge a lot of money for their software. It's not free software. So, but anyway, it was very
resume, right?
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, interesting. But we need to talk about. I want to talk about the Apple, all the developments this week in Apple, and you guys can help me as we go along here. I'm just going to flash up some of the announcements and we can talk about this as we go along. And if you're listening or watching out there and you have any comments, just put them in. Now, the first one was, of course, Apple Intelligence. This is the new term that they of course coined this week. Apple Intelligence is going to enhance Siri's functionality across iPad, iPhone, Mac, and focus on built-in privacy. This was a big announcement. Of course, Apple hasn't been doing, they've been holding back. And this, of course, was a partnership with OpenAI, right? So, Huey, any comments on that? Did you have any thoughts? Or
I just think in general that we aren't sure which iPads are going to be, which items on the iPad are going to be updated and be able to be used on current ones and ones that are a few years old. I have the 9th generation. The current iPads are 10th generation, but then there's some that have the M chip, and then there's some that don't.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that they announced are only going to work on the iPhones and the iPads that have the M chip in it. And so just because you own the most recent iPhone doesn't mean you're going to get all this stuff they're talking about. And same thing with the iPad. So my 9th generation isn't going to do a lot of the things that they talked about.
One caveat to think about on this is for developers, they will have a platform with developers who don't have the M chip that can use online to do all their stuff online. Means they're using Apple's cloud, which is powered by the M chip. Now, that's right now for developers. Nothing says that can't be opened up and say, hey, you don't have an M chip? It's okay. Use our cloud service. You may have to pay for it, but it's going to be available. Okay.
Well, that's a good point too. Ray, any thoughts?
I'm going to just make a side comment that we've seen that where Apple now uses AI as Apple Intelligence. Which I think was great. I saw an interview yesterday with Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, and he said no. He has AI, which he calls actual intelligence.
All right. Well, that's sort of interesting. All right. Personalized emoji and photo editing. Users can create custom emojis and use Image Playground to edit photos by describing them and cleaning them up. So,
do any of us on the panel use emojis?
I don't usually.
I don't either. Yeah.
I don't.
I seldom do. Yeah.
Occasionally,
once in a while.
The Windows key and period for those of you that are on the Windows computer. Right. Just use the Windows key and the period, and there's all the emojis you possibly want to share.
But do you use them, Bob?
Occasionally.
Yeah, that's
but not often. No.
So that's not a big deal.
I'm not
for
part
me.
of that generation. Okay.
But there is a generation that is an emoji generation.
Correct.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys, if I'm correct in this, but I think we could edit and make up emojis on the Android side long time ago. I think this is Apple finally caught up with Android sort of situation, isn't it? Now, if I'm wrong, put it in the chat. But I think
I'm not sure in this instant, but a lot of the things that Apple has announced are things that are already in Android.
There was an article on 18 items that are part of Apple now that actually came from Android.
I saw that. I got the article. I think I put that on there one of the articles to review. Movie creation from photos. Well, I know they can do that on Android. A new feature allows users to create movies from their photos and descriptions, turning memories into personalized videos.
It's been around for a while.
That's if you're using Apple Photos, I guess. If you're using if you have Google Photos, well, that's not a problem. You can certainly do that in Google
I'm
Photos.
kind of surprised that's a new feature now. I would have assumed they would have had that for a while.
Yeah,
it's available in AI out there.
Yeah.
If you have Google Photos, you get memories, right? Which is exactly that. Have had it for quite some time.
Enhanced Siri capabilities. Siris can handle complex queries such as flight information, dining plans, password sharing, reviewing specific details from this device. So they're obviously going to enhance that with AI. So obviously that makes sense, right? I mean, that's sort of like
and it's taking information from your computer or your phone, so it definitely is going to have to be on a device that has an M chip.
Yeah, that'll be a biggie, because I would think this is probably going to change their software quite a bit. And if you don't have an M chip, then you're definitely going to be.
And not all of the iPhone 15, which is the latest version of it, do have an M chip in it.
Message summarization and highlighting. Apple Intelligence can summarize long messages and highlight important parts, making it easier to manage communication.
Yeah, I was watching a video on ChatGPT, and it was doing exactly that.
I'll take the time to read the entire message myself.
The Avast support forum, quite often we get people that get carried away, and instead of posing a question, they ask us a full paragraph or story. And it's nice when you can summarize it.
Yeah.
Just get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get down here. iPad calculator and math note. iPad now include a calculator and math note, which can solve handwritten math problems and clean up messy handwriting.
The handwriting part is something new, but the calculator, of the 14 years that the iPad and iPhones have been around, they have never had their own calculator on there. Where if you go to any of the Android phones, it comes with it. You had to put a third-party calculator on.
Wasn't that interesting? Was it last week we showed, or was it the week before I showed that AI when they were working the math, that the young boy was having trouble with algebra, and they got AI to teach him how to answer that question, and that was so interesting. That was very, very cool. Almost made me want to go back and do algebra, but no. I don't want not that. I said almost. But it was sort of interesting because I could understand it the way that they showed me. So that was sort of cool. Did we do that calculator? We did that one. Expressive messaging and satellite connectivity. New messaging features allows for more expressive communication, and messages can be sent from anywhere via satellite connectivity. Now, this is something that, of course, is coming with an Android, and all the is the ability now to connect not through just the cellular system, but through satellite, right? And that's a new feature that we're going to be seeing. It's certainly available on Android, particularly for 911 calling, and of course we're seeing it now with Apple. So that's, any comments on that, you guys? Nothing?
Not really.
Okay. Nothing really? Okay. Integration across devices. Users can now access phone features on a Mac, enhancing cross-device functionality and convenience. Well, I guess that's another motherhood and apple pie sort of thing. So what? I mean, okay, is that a new feature? Anyway, home screen customization and privacy. The iPhone home screen and app visibility can be customized with options to hide or lock specific apps. Now, this was interesting because Android has had this for a very long time, is that you can actually change where the, number one, you can change where the apps are and the color globally on the screen. You can make customization on there. So there's more customization.
Yeah.
But Apple is by far a more secure operating system.
And AirPods and Apple Watch enhancements. AirPods now support gesture-based Siri responses, and Apple Watch provides detailed fitness tracking and relaxation features. Vision Pro offers an immersive spatial experience. So there are changes there as well. Now, the one that we forgot, but it will be coming up on the articles as we look through them today, is of course the RCS, which is now available, will be available on, which is of course the standard now for text messaging in Android, but it'll be available on the iPhone. So you will be able now to communicate easily between Android and an iPhone, right? So
yeah, currently you can't. Somebody on an iPhone can't message directly someone on an Android phone, and this will change.
This will change, yeah. So that's a good thing, and they've been talking about this for a long time. And Tim Cook has always been against this. He's always poo-pooed it and said, if everyone just bought an iPhone, we wouldn't have this problem, would we? You know, that was his response. He always gave the same response and said that, and of course that was, everyone started out groaned, and then but now this is certainly.
And before we leave this topic, there's one thing that I found very interesting, that most of everything that they talked about is coming. It's not here today. It's not going to be here today. Usually when Apple makes announcements at these big announcements like this is, it's going to be ready in a couple of weeks, and it's ready to go. But a lot of these aren't going to be available until in the fall, in the winter, and maybe after the first of the year. So a lot of it may never happen, or it may be totally different than what they were talking about. And it's a wait and see, and it's not here. The other thing is that the iOS 18 is going to be available, and they didn't say when, but sometime soon. But it didn't say what is going to be updatable, and it made it sound like it's not going to work on the current iPhones and iPads unless it has the M chip, but that is wrong. There is a whole list, and one of the articles that I posted does tell you what models of the phone and the iPad will be upgradable, but they aren't going to be able to do a lot of the items, the AI items that are going to require the M chip.
So it's called a lot of hype.
Yep, absolutely.
But Apple, unlike Google, is usually pretty good about getting it done. They usually are pretty good to their word. If they say it's coming, it's usually will come.
Yeah, but right. it's kind of like the Microsoft Copilot plus PC. That in order for it to work, you're probably going to have to upgrade your hardware.
Yes.
All right, Huey, before we get started on the articles, any comments that we should be looking at?
Let's see where we left off here. Not sure where I left off, but let's see.
Good morning, Clark Walker. This morning I noticed that the Facebook app on my iPad was updating.
Okay, and then Murray asked a question before that.
Camtasia, not Fantasia. It's Camtasia. C-A-M-T-A-S-I-A, Camtasia. By TechSmith. TechSmith is the company. Geek Wireless, will we need a two-factor authentication in the future when we log to TFS to confirm that you guys are not AI fakes, Carl? Well, maybe, I guess maybe. Clark Walker.
There's our emoji.
Oh, okay. Stan Wallner, muggy and 90 degrees, heavy rain this week, next monsoons. So are you okay, Huey? There was
Yeah,
a lot of flooding in Florida.
Yeah, actually in Bradenton, it wasn't too bad, but just south of me, which is less than about 5 miles, is Sarasota. And they had a lot of flooding, and it was further south from there. Venice and Naples. One of my friends in Naples showed some pictures. They've been bailing their pool. It's been filling up and overflowing, and so then have to pull things out.
Ray, you got the first article.
Oh, you didn't refresh.
I'll refresh. Hold on.
And then I'm going to have to too, though.
Maybe Ray didn't. Let's have a look here. Oh, Bob, social fishing and social engineering.
Yeah, I started doing some comprehensive digging into the major security things to look out for, and this is the second one of that. The first one was, shoot.
Well, we'll have to get it on the show. Yeah. We'll have to get it on the Monday show. This Monday coming up, we're doing the whole show as a special show on streaming TV devices at home for home TV. Should be great. I did
one on ransomware, and this is the second one. Now this one is on phishing and social engineering. We'll have to look out for, how you catch it, how you prevent it, and what to do if you've gotten phished.
Excellent.
The Bradenton City Police Department is put together a special unit because it's so rampant here in this area. Now, I'm in Manatee County. I'm not actually in the city of Bradenton. It's all around me, but it's not. We're not in the city. But they did some really good articles about things that seniors have to be careful of, because it's mostly seniors that are getting hit in this area.
I just want to let everybody know, if you want to follow along on Facebook with us, these articles that we're looking at are all on our Facebook page. And if you just go to Facebook and type in Tech for Senior, no S on the end, you'll find our page, and these are the articles we're following. And Ray, you're up.
All right, the data centers and AI, they need power. So I think this is an informative article, and it suggests that data centers and AI related are likely to consume half of all the electricity available from renewable energy sources. So the bottom line is renewable energy still needs to run through the electricity grid, and that continues to be a bottleneck.
More and more with AI too. It's the power is incredible. Not only that, but one of the things, I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I was listening to a show the other day on the new AI powered cars and the power consumption they use, and the amount you talked about tops. What was that, Ray? The trillion
operations per second.
Right. And it's phenomenal, these new cars, how high those tops go, because they, to make autonomous driving cars.
I'm gonna look that up. I didn't see that.
Yeah. This is now let's move over to Huey. Let's add this here. Oops, there we go. Huey, I think you're up there. You've got the next article down, because I couldn't see it.
No. Ray had two posted, but there were no pictures. One, Elon Musk is beefing with Apple.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why the pictures didn't come up when I anyway, the point is, shortly after Apple announced on Monday that they were entering into this partnership with OpenAI, Elon Musk shared his concerns about this be protecting Apple users' information. He announced a ban on Apple devices entering any of his facilities. So Apple responded that they are using their own AI, and the integration with OpenAI is an optional feature. Now, I admire Mr. Musk, but I think he may have overreacted here.
He's also already dropped that.
Oh, is that right? That was okay.
Yeah, I don't think you could ban. I mean, I would assume half the people.
Well, he told when the people were walking in, they would have had to put their iPhone in a separate case until they left the building.
What? You're kidding? Yeah. Really?
No, that's what he had said, but he's already rescinded that.
Okay.
Good. And what is the next one?
Apple says its AI is different from competitors.
Because it's not using.
Yeah.
It's using its own.
Right, Apple's AI intelligence, the company executives pointed out it's been crafted to focus only on the devices it sells. So it's a limited approach, focuses on small tasks to benefit individuals, and is not meant to work with supercomputers like the other AIs.
But you can get the others if you're willing to pay for them.
Okay. Next generation CarPlay, Ray.
All right, so Apple announced an updated CarPlay offerings, and this is going to be available, they say, later this year. Now, they center on overall design, and it's going to be tailored to match the brand names of the different automakers, meaning their graphics will be used and logos. The instrument clusters will show all that. Now, we're going to repeat here. This is based on CarPlay systems being installed at the factory. And you won't be able to do all of this just by plugging in your phone. But they're making a big change to the way CarPlay will be looking.
Mm-hmm. All right. This was an article. This is Bob talks about this all the time. This is smartphone apps secretly score your driving for insurance companies. Now, so darn those guys anyway. Now, what are the apps that will do this? Well, one of the first ones on here is Gas Buddy. And they actually, the article was talking about when you sign up for Gas Buddy, and when you keep clicking all those buttons and say, I agree to this, I agree to this, I agree to this. One of the things in this tiny little print that you agree to is it's going to track your car and tell how fast you're going, what your driving habits are. And that goes back to insurance companies. So there's a whole bunch of them that track your driving capabilities and send the data out. So interesting. You may want to have a look at those apps and see which ones they are. The big one that I use, of course, is Gas Buddy, but I don't use it anymore. I should delete it off. I got an electric car, so I don't need Gas Buddy anymore. So I don't need that. So I'm going to get rid of the app. But anyway, a bunch of them there. Have a look at that. It's a really good article. Bob, did you see that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't use Gas Buddy either. I simply do a search for cheapest gas near me, and that gives me the answer.
Right. Now, we talked about this before. Just to let you know, the final word: Google shuts down GPay, Google Pay app in the US now. So Google Pay is gone. It is all Google Wallet. And what does that mean to you? Well, it just doesn't mean anything really. But what Google Pay did in the United States is you could use it and have cash in it, like Venmo. In other words, you could actually have cash in your Google account and use it to pay. And that has gone away. The whole Google Pay thing is gone. If you do, and you're automatically converted to Google Wallet. But Google Wallet doesn't do that. It doesn't. You can't have cash in your Google Wallet and pay. It comes right out of your account. So if you have any cash in there, it's still there, and you have to go into in through the web portal, and then you transfer your money out, do whatever. But if you do have money in your Google Pay account as cash, then you'll probably want to get rid of that and resolve that issue. Otherwise, everyone just gets converted over to Google Wallet. I'll go over to Huey now. I can't see what came after that article, Google Pay.
How to keep porn off your...
Oh yeah, did you guys read about this? This is crazy. So X now is allowing porn on Twitter, I guess, right?
Or X.
Yep.
Or X, which is crazy. So
now they're going to call it triple X?
Well, whatever. Yeah. So this is an article. So that's very interesting. Now, so there's a whole problem now of settings to keep porn off if your kids are using it, or what is there. Kim Commando had an article. I didn't post it this morning because I wasn't thinking much about it. And then when this article came up, I thought, well, this is an issue that we probably should talk about. So Kim Comanda had a big article in her newsletter today on how all the security settings in X that you can change so that hopefully it'll keep pouring out. And there's a whole bunch of things that people are going to be running around trying to do now, because maybe, kids or young people, probably shouldn't be, looking at this stuff. So anyway, this is a whole other big problem that is going to be occurring. I have no idea why that was started. You guys have any comments on that?
And X is used in a lot of businesses, so they got to be very careful too.
Yeah, I think this will be the downfall of X, because that is just going to take over the platform, and it's going to be a mess.
Just remember, we're talking about news feeds on X. And news feeds happen not only on X, they happen on all social media platforms.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to see them on the other, you also need to make cautions there. So that, it's nice to say X, because it's always X is doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. This happens to relate to news feeds.
All right. There, we got that in twice. This was the other one. This is a bad morning for apps. So this is an interesting article on that I posted. This is on travel apps harvesting your data without asking. And TripAdvisor, all the big ones are right there. You can read the article, but as we travel in the summer and people are using online resources to book their travels and hotels and stuff like that, is that these apps are all capturing your data, what hotels you like, where you stay, what your preferences are, and they're all harvesting that information and selling it. So it is all so when you're using these travel apps, I guess, I don't know what to say, whether or not to use them or whatever, but they're harvesting your data and they're selling it. And this is a big money generator. So anyway, you can read all about it. It was an interesting article.
And if you're going to travel, don't hold your ticket up in front of the camera.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah. That's true. We talked about that Monday.
Yeah. That's a bad situation. So anyway, again, harvesting your data. Will we ever be safe? No, this is Bob. This is what I was talking about. This is, I can switch over on mine. I can see this. So this is Google's. So on for Android, for the June drop of the updated Android, particularly for Pixel, this feature is rolling out on phones now. So if you have a Pixel and you got the June update, and I'm just going to open this up. Hopefully, you can't see this. Darn it, you can't see it. But what happens is when you open up your contact in your phone app, it will show a line there, and on the right side there's a new button that will be a reverse lookup. So you can actually look up the phone number, find out who's calling before you answer the phone. And so it's a reverse lookup. Now, this is a feature rolling out. I do not have it. I have the update in June, but Bob doesn't have it either, and I don't have it.
Nope.
So it hasn't been. So it's rolling out, but it is coming, and I think this will be a really cool feature, and that's a new Android feature. I know it's available on the Pixel, but I'm assuming it's going to be rolling out to all Android users. Then let's go over to Huey.
I don't have those either. So
you don't have it either. Yeah. What's the next one? I don't
this
have
one. This is the next one. It's
I have
these
noticed
five
that all of the articles that aren't showing up are coming from CNBC.
CNBC.
So, yep.
So these are the 5. I'm not going to go through them, but these are the 5 big changes in the AirDrop, the new features for Android that occurred in the June update. So they're there. I'm not going to go through them
The important thing that you mention all the time, Ron, is you need to be updating, making sure that everything is getting updated.
Right. And I can add to this to stage. This is Google is putting more Android in Chrome OS. Lots of talk about Chrome OS this week. I would say, and I, Huey and I did for 3 years. We did Chromebook, learning Chromebooks in a monthly session. We did that for 3 years. I still am an active Chromebook user, and I will be publishing some more stuff on Chromebooks on our Monday show as we I said I would. The issue though and I talked about this last year in my final assessment of Chromebooks for 2023 is Chromebook Pluses. A lot of the new features coming out are only available on Chromebook Pluses. So if you are considering buying a Chromebook, I would strongly urge you to get a Chromebook Plus and have that, make sure that designation is there, because a lot of the new AI features that are coming out are only available on Chromebook Pluses. So you will not be getting the new features. So it's sort of a two-level system. So you really need to be careful with that. But there are a lot of changes coming, and the goal is ultimately to have them more like the with the Android features. What's the next one here?
Alexa, how Amazon blew Alexa's shot to dominate AI, according to more than a dozen employees.
So, personal assistant developed by Amazon, first used in the Amazon Echo and the Amazon Echo Dot.
Just tell it to stop, Huey.
Amazon Lab. It's not mine.
There we go. All right. So this was a very interesting article, and I'm just going to summarize it. In September of last year, there was a meeting in I'm not sure where it was, employees, press, and everybody, and they got together and did a big reveal. And they talked to Miss A, and they'd say something like to Miss A, they would say, let's talk about the hockey game today, and I'm rooting for the Oilers. And so Miss A would say, well, that's nice, Ron. We're having a great chat about this, and it's a personalized chat. In other words, they made AI like your best buddy that you could talk to, and everybody cheered, and this was great. And of course, they made the big announcement, but nothing has happened. In other words, nothing has happened with any of the Echo devices. They haven't implemented anything. And the article talks about all the dysfunction amongst Amazon, the fact that these Echo devices have never made any money, and they're trying to make this happen, but they're way behind everybody else. And they had announced it last year, and why that has happened, and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting article, and I would encourage you to read it. Huey, is there any before we get into the last 15 minutes, is there any more comments that we need to deal with?
Just two.
Betty from Clearwater, I am just north of the heavy rain line. How are you, Huey? Got 3 inches on Tuesday.
Yeah, we didn't get hit, but just a few miles south of me got quite a bit.
Anybody in that? So if Apple has its own AI, when we say we did a search using AI, is it a case we will have to say or donate the AI source, Carl? Oh, well, I don't know. Yeah.
I actually posted a comment on our Facebook page and said there are now 2 AIs, Apple Intelligence and all the others.
Yeah. Geeks on Tour, bow down to your AI overlords, or you will be assimilated.
Sounds like Jim.
Sounds like Jim, yeah. Okay, let's come back here. I think I can look at this. Now, this is very interesting. This is just came out this morning. You will soon be able to text 911 in Google Messages thanks to RCS. And this is a new feature coming out. It's not available yet, but they are working on this. And so you'll be able to text 911 in Google Messages. Now, I don't know how that's going to work, because how would they know where you are?
I think each of the 911 systems are going to have to be able to receive it as well.
Mm-hmm. Huey, did you see this article? The FCC can continue to spend $8 billion on rural internet and other needs, the Supreme Court rules. So this is an article about when you're paying for phone services, there's a part of that money that goes into a separate fund that supports rural internet. And is that different than the one you were talking about, where it's?
I think so. I don't know. I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, this is for development. It's not the subsidy.
It's not the subsidy. This is for development in rural. Okay. Anyway, this is good. I think this is good news. This just came out today.
Yeah, but Amazon and Starlink, and there's going to be a couple of more of the low Earth orbit things. So a lot of it's going to be satellite available to those areas anyway. So
okay.
it may be money that doesn't need to be spent. But the government never does that anyway.
Yahoo Mail. This is yours, Huey?
You skipped one here.
Did I? I can't see that. I'll.
Yep. Apple, NVIDIA, and Microsoft will race to the $4 trillion mark cap this year.
Yeah, they're those three are nip and tuck all the time. They're up to 3.3 trillion now, and NVIDIA's ahead one day, Apple's ahead. It depends on what day you look at the news, and it makes great news because they're all pretty close. So, but the prediction is they'll all hit $4 trillion.
This is you, Ron, as well. Apple just passed Microsoft. Yep. Yeah. Same theme.
But it sort of depends on what article you read and what day it is, because one's ahead the next day. They keep bouncing back and forth.
You finally let me get in there with. You finally let me get in. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is yours. Go ahead.
Bob had something to say first.
Yeah, one already has AI, and the other one is promising it, and that makes them jump ahead. Doesn't make too much sense to me.
Yeah. Yahoo Mail is adding more AI to simplify desktop email. A lot of us just think that Yahoo Mail doesn't exist or it's going away, but it isn't. They're very active. There's a lot of people who use it, and they're adding some AI to their system.
Yeah, some people don't want to give it up.
You talked about this one before. Which iPhones and iPads support iOS?
Yeah, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, this is an article you want to read because it'll tell you which ones will be upgradable to iOS 18.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean everything's going to be available in it, but it means you can at least update to it.
Good point.
And this is from a Facebook page called Geeky Gadgets. There's some neat stuff there. But the Apple Watch OS 11 features have also been revealed. So there's new things coming to the iWatch as well.
Cool.
And this was from Beta News. Microsoft rolls out major privacy overhaul for Windows 11 recall after user backlash. So what they're doing is, instead of having it as a default turned on, it's going to be a default turned off.
Yeah, that was what is it called, Bob? Overview or
recall.
Recall.
Yeah, right in the article there. Yeah.
Oh, recall. Yeah, right. Okay, good. Yeah, there was a big stink about that. Really, it was hot topic last week, right, Huey?
And then Linux at the core. The Chrome OS embraces Android tech to speed up Google AI integration. So they definitely are improving and working on the Chrome OS for Chromebooks.
Yep, lots happening there. And Bob, you are video chat without hassles.
Yeah, it's web-based, and there's no sign up, there's no nothing. Just go to the website, and from there, you can join a meeting, you can start a meeting, you can schedule a meeting, and it doesn't have any sign ins, it doesn't have any restrictions of how many people. Uh, it's simple as to what you can do. So it's not a Zoom competitor, it doesn't have any AI in it. Also, realize that it is web based. Now, the website itself is perfectly safe, but I don't know what they do with the data because obviously, if you have a meeting, you share information. So it isn't what I would use to talk to somebody about my banking habits. But if you need to have a video chat with somebody, this is a quick, fast way of doing that.
That's interesting. And we talked about this earlier, and I said to Bob, well, how do they make money? Like, there's obviously a
Your
lot of
data is money.
Well, I guess because I mean, there's because I would assume there'd be a lot of bandwidth. There's a lot of infrastructure you'd need to run something like this.
It's probably data a beta, and somewhere's down the road they'll start.
There's going to be
offering
right
more with a fee.
Currently,
this is not an investor who'll put up the money, willing to take a loss in the beginning with the thought that they'll get a return later on.
But if you can't afford Zoom, and you still want to have a meeting, you can share your screen, you can share videos, you can do all kinds of things in this.
Zoom is still free up to 40 minutes.
Well, this doesn't have a time limit. It doesn't have a people limit. So
can TSA search your phone? Know your digital rights? This is a good topic, Bob.
Well, this comes from the Avast blog, and they go into details of who has what rights to your phone. When can they and when can they not confiscate your phone or ask you to do things on your phone?
What do you guys think? This would be a really good topic for our Monday show. I know we're doing streaming services now, but maybe in the fall, maybe we should look at this, and this would be a great topic for our Monday show.
It's already out here. Just read it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, I'm assuming, at least from the information I have, is that you have no rights. That if you're transiting through the border, that the border security people can, in fact, have the right to search your phone.
You do have certain rights, Ron. That's the point of it.
Didn't they vary country by country?
Yes,
definitely.
Very interesting. And this is yours, Bob.
Apple's new privacy private cloud computer nodes, and this goes into using Apple's cloud if you don't have a powerful enough. And this is based right now or meant right now for developers. They can use Google's cloud to do developing and testing and ultimately releasing their new apps fully integrated into Apple, the Apple ecosystem. But they can do things here that they may not have the oomph to be able to do on their own system.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's also gotten quite a few views already. I'm very surprised.
Huey.
Yeah, SpaceX has cut the Starlink dish price. It says to $2.99, but basically it's been $5.99. They've cut it to $4.99, but in 27 states, it might be possible you can get it down to $2.99 for new people or people who are just subscribing to it. And also, I think their subscription rates have gone down a little bit too. So they're starting, because they've got so many satellites out there, they're getting so many people subscribing that they're able to reduce some of the prices, and they find ways to produce the dishes cheaper.
Or do you think that since Amazon's coming online now and they're going to be cheaper, they're lowering their price to keep up with Amazon?
It could be both.
Could be both. Okay. 9 must-try features coming to your iPhone?
Yep, with iOS 18, this goes into what's going to be available even on the older phones that are going to be using iOS. These are some of the things that will be featured and you'll be able to use. So if you have an iPhone or an iPad and are able to get iOS 18, this will tell you what you're going to be able to do with it.
Oh, this was an article. It was Adobe overhauls terms of service so it won't train AI on customers' work. There was a
If you remember on Monday's show, I had an article on how Adobe was using the information it gathered to train its AI, and that's now because they got slammed for it.
Boy, did they?
Was it Edsel? What was the photographer? Was it Edsel Adams or
yes. There was Ansel Adams? Yeah,
Ansel Adams. They trained it, and
the estate of Ansel Adams is the one that
the big one that they
and then Adobe said, well, contact us privately, and the estate has, but they never bothered to respond.
That's right. Yeah, that was the story. Yeah, interesting. Yes.
Guess what time it is?
Oh, it can't be. Are we out of time already?
Yeah.
Darn it, you guys! We've got to start doing this show for 2 hours.
Got into my lunch.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, you guys, what a bunch of complainers, honestly. All right. Okay. Anyway, thanks so much for coming, everybody. We've had a great time. Do we have any final comments before we?
Yeah, let's see where we left off.
Start with Murray.
Gotta find it here.
Murray says, using Ron's method of Google Photo Scan, I scanned 62 pages of a photo book in 13 minutes. Did you beat my record? Murray, did you beat my record? I can't remember how many I scanned, but I did it in 13 minutes. Maybe you beat my record. No helper, which slowed it down a bit. Yeah, you need someone to turn the pages. Otherwise, you can't. Gail was turning the pages, and I had the timer on, and I was taking the pictures, and we were going like crazy. So, Geeks on Tour, you can get rid of the manage page column for a better display run. Oh, didn't I turn that off? I'm sorry. I was having a difficult day before we started since nothing was working. Otherwise, I should have turned that off. I usually do. Thanks, Jim. But it was, you've probably experienced this as well, where nothing works 5 minutes before you're starting the show. That's a very stressful time. Anyway.
Hopefully things will go better for them tonight.
Yeah,
Remember, on Tour has a special tonight.
Yes, indeed. So anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We do appreciate you. Thank you. It's your watching us every week and supporting us that keeps us going. We will, of course, invite you to our Monday show that's coming up. It will be, of course, all about streaming services and TV in your home, and it should be a fun Monday. All my family is arriving from Ethiopia. My grandson and my daughter and son-in-law will be here tomorrow. So the house is going to be very busy for the next month and a half. So we are getting excited about that. So I might be a little bit excited when you see me on Monday.
Ron, the big question is the dog coming with him?
No. Patches is staying put at home.
Yeah. Ron, a quick update for Chris from Geeks on Tour tonight. It's Ask Chris Anything, and it starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Perfect.
Yep.
Excellent. And that's on YouTube. It's a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you same time, same place next week. All right. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.